All right, so the first story at the top of antiwar.com. Report says that Trump is preparing to bomb Iran with Israel. So the U.S. and Israel are currently planning to bomb Iran's nuclear facilities, an attack that could happen in a few weeks' time. And this was reported by the Daily Mail, specifically by the Daily Mail's columnist Dan Hodges. And Hodges is extremely pro-Israel. Sometimes I'm a little skeptical of the Daily Mail, but this appears, considering everything we've seen Trump do, the U.S. do in the Middle East in the last few weeks, we certainly are gearing up for an attack on Iran. And Hodges wrote this report while he was in Tel Aviv and cited Israeli political, diplomatic, and military sources who said that the U.S. and Israel are preparing to bomb Iran. He said the purpose of the strike would be to eradicate the threat posed by Iran's nuclear weapons program. But there's no evidence that Iran actually has a nuclear weapons program, and that's a fact recently confirmed by U.S. intel agencies in the annual threat assessment. So a senior Israeli diplomatic source told Hodges that Trump's presidency offers the best time to hit Iran. The official said, quote, "From Israel's perspective, with Trump in the White House, this represents the optimum moment to deal with Iran. There won't be a better chance," end quote. Trump recently threatened to bomb Iran if a nuclear deal is not reached, and he has reportedly given Tehran a 2-month deadline, which would end at the end of May. Iran responded to Trump by rejecting direct talks in the face of increasing U.S. pressure, but Tehran has offered to hold indirect negotiations. Axios reported on Wednesday that the White House is seriously considering Iran's offer for indirect talks, but is building up U.S. forces in the Middle East to prepare for an attack on the Islamic Republic. So that's another report saying that the U.S. is preparing an attack. It's also saying that the White House is considering the indirect talks. It says there's an internal debate in the White House between those who want to engage with the Iranians and those who would rather bomb Iran right away. The report says, quote, "If Trump decides the time is up, he will have a loaded gun at the ready," end quote. So these reports also are confirming that this U.S. military buildup we're seeing in the Middle East, which I think it's very clear that this is what it's about, but it's confirming that this military buildup, sending all the bombers, sending the additional aircraft carriers, other fighter jets, this is a buildup getting prepared for bombing Iran. It's not just a threat to Yemen. I mean, the U.S. is bombing Yemen every day, but it's not really about that. It's about threatening Iran and preparing to strike Iran. And Haaretz reported by looking at the open source data on the U.S. deployments that this buildup is the biggest U.S. military buildup in the region since October 7th, 2023. And Biden sent a lot of firepower to the Middle East, right after the attack. So it's significant. A very significant military buildup is happening here. And of course, this comes amid the heavy U.S. bombing campaign in Yemen, which Trump has also tied that to Iran, as we've been covering. He's blaming Iran for the Houthi attacks, even though, as any Yemen expert, or not, you don't even have to be an expert, anybody who knows a little bit about Yemen will tell you that the Houthis are not beholden to Iran. And even U.S. officials have acknowledged this, that they're unlikely to take orders from Iran. They produce their weapons domestically. So in the face of all these threats from the U.S., a senior IRGC commander warned that the U.S. has 10 bases in the region around Iran, housing about 50,000 U.S. troops. So a full-blown U.S.-Israeli attack on Iran would certainly provoke an Iranian missile attack on these bases. And then where do things escalate from there? If there's serious U.S. casualties, which, as far as I understand it, that's what the Pentagon would expect, is some serious U.S. casualties, in the thousands, then what's going to happen? Then how far will things go? So very concerning, all these movements heading in a very, very dangerous direction.
That old Beach Boys song, Bomb Iran?